Good evening, everybody. Today is Monday, July 12th. It's 6:30, and it's time for the Board of Selectmen meeting. First item on the agenda is, as always, we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item number 2 is the consent agenda. I think we have some approval of minutes, appointments, and reappointments. I think we're going to pull the Dudley police appointment out of the consent agenda. Board members, any feedback? What would you like to do on the consent agenda other than the police?
Mr. Chair, make a motion that we approve as presented the minutes of June 21st, 2021. And I would ask the town administrator if we are approving and not releasing the executive session minutes.
That's correct, Mr. Sullivan.
Motion by Mr. Sullivan.
Second.
Second by Mr. Siganovich. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous on the minutes of June 21. I guess we'll go one by one.
Well, we can just approve the rest of it.
Ken? Okay.
We're
You want to do the executive?
Just take a vote with the exception of the Dudley
That's what I thought we
police
did.
appointment. Take a vote on the consent agenda as a whole.
He's the only person here, Mr. Chairman.
I was going to say, is there anybody else here that's being appointed or reappointed? Okay.
Mr. Chair, make a motion that we, through the consent agenda, approve all the appointments as presented, excluding the police officer.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Siganovich. Discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph.
Could I ask that the names and positions and expiration of their terms be read out loud?
Yep. Mr. Sullivan.
Mr. Chair, Cultural Council, Jane Champagne, term to expire June 30th, 2023. Louise Williams, Cultural Council, term to expire June 30th, 2023. Historical Commission, Fred Meyer, term to expire June 30th, 2024. Constable, Michael Mayotte, term to expire June 30th, 2024. Chief Procurement Officer, Jonathan Ruder, term to expire June 30th, 2022.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, call that to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Mr. Sullivan, could you also do a motion for the executive session minutes? I don't think we,
Yeah, we did it as,
was that a part of your motion? on the
yeah.
Okay, it was, okay.
On the advice of administrator not to release.
Okay, good. All right, we're done with that. Number 3, Mr. Ruda, Town
2B.
Administrator's
2B.
Report. Oh, 2B, so I'm sorry. We'll go back to Dudley Police, appointing Officer Louis Pacheco, effective July 31st, 2021. Chief? Mr. Pacheco.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Just for the board's attention, Officer Pacheco here was appointed originally as a student officer back in June of 2019. Worked on a full-time basis for us since then. Entered the police academy as a student officer in February of 20, and he graduated at the end of July of 20. So at that time, the board voted to appoint him for his year probation period, and so now he's due, at least at the end of the month, for his full-time appointment to the department. Louis done a great job for us over that time. Had certainly a difficult process going through the police academy during all the COVID uncertainties and everything all through last summer, but did really well, and he's been very effective for us in the department ever since. And so we're very glad to have him, and I'm sure he'll do a great job going forward as a full-time officer for the department. So I just asked the board to approve his appointment. There's no expiration date on those, as you know. It's just a permanent appointment.
Okay. Board members, any comments?
Anything,
Mr. Sullivan?
anything Officer Pacheco wants to say before? Or?
I mean, definitely Dudley was I didn't expect to work in Dudley out of all towns. Like I said, when I first started here, I didn't know much about it. The guys are great. The town's pretty much respectable for us, and that's not easy nowadays. I'm very happy where I am, and I just want to thank you guys for continuing to support me.
Field Officer, Mr. Siganovich?
I have to ask, Pacheco or Pacheco?
I guess it's kind of personal preference.
What's your personal preference?
I guess Pacheco is fine. Again, my dad's from Portugal, so even my first name is pronounced differently over there. So I guess I'm kind of used to both. But Pacheco is
Okay.
really what.
Check who it is.
Bye. Thank you.
I'm corrected.
No, I just,
No, good call.
Polish last name.
You're used to it.
Yeah,
Siganowitz.
yeah, keep it up.
I completely understand
get
as
it.
well.
Yes, you
Yes,
do.
you do.
I've heard some interesting pronunciations of yours. Mr. Joseph?
Nothing.
Nothing? Steve?
Mr. Chair, make a motion that we appoint Officer Louis Pacheco, effective June 31st, 2021, due to the fact his probation period has expired.
Motion by
Second.
Mr. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Joseph. Any other discussion? Hearing none, call that to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you very much, appreciate
Thank
it.
you,
Good luck,
officer.
officer.
Good officer. Thank you, chief. All right.
Want to do a photo for your
Yeah,
family?
you want anybody to take
That's
a
all right, sorry.
Do a photo for your family?
You want another one? Third
Okay.
photo? Third photo? No?
Congratulations.
Oh, he's got one on the
I'm
mail
all set. We
already.
do have
I remember from the last time.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, number 3, Town Administrator's Report, Mr. Rudin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Right.
As the board knows, the playground has been closed for the last week or so, as some of the equipment has been damaged or worn out, or just simply worn out. It's no longer serviceable. It's creating an unsafe condition. So at some point, we've identified that need to Representative Durant and he and Senator Fatman have been able to secure an additional $25,000 in funding from the Commonwealth that will be used to repair the equipment this year and to begin some minor repairs here in Veterans Hall. We've all been tuned into the ceiling tiles getting ready at any point to fall down on our head, so we'll probably start there. So thanks to Representative Durant and Senator Fatman for coming through and getting an additional $25,000 for the town to address reopening the playground, fixing the unsafe condition in the playground, and starting to address some of the unsafe conditions with our ceiling tiles in this room. As the board recalls, last year we were able to complete phase 1 of the energy efficient upgrades to the town hall and the schools through our Green Communities funding. This year we have applied for phase 2 of the project, which includes the senior center and police department and the highway building. The scope will be relatively the same, and that is to replace all the lighting with energy efficient fixtures, increase the insulation values, and to improve efficiency with HVAC systems by providing a complete analysis of the system and recommendations for improvements. And of course, those recommendations always seem to end up in a shovel-ready, construction-ready project for us for future grant funding consideration. So that's moving forward as we planned on last year. A few times I've mentioned that Michelle and Bill Scanlon have been leading the charge, particularly Michelle with the grant funding, to take a look at our skateboard park, our former skateboard park, which is now a trailer corral essentially up here in the upper parking lot. We were looking at the idea of putting in a community park / greenway. We received a grant through Janet Mauser to create a conceptual design of converting the former skateboard park into a usable green space for residents. And some of that space outdoor will be for like limited outdoor events and venues such as a farmer's market and that kind of thing. This has been an effort that has been spearheaded predominantly by Michelle, with a lot of help from Bill Scanlon. We recently brought the highway superintendent in. So the next phase of that will be to get more of a in-depth scope together and make it more of a shovel-ready project. So more of the design will take place over the next month or so through another grant that Michelle got for us to move forward with that work. And hopefully we'll be in a position a year from now where we can apply for construction funding to convert that space. So that's one nice thing, one quality of life thing that we've been working on over the course of the last year that we're excited about.
That's awesome.
The recycling permits, the sales have been running for FY '22 for the last 3 weeks. And some of the feedback that we received, and they say we, I mean our office, the treasurer's office and so forth, is that the banking hour sales are inconvenient for some people. So retirees can generally access those permits and buy them, but after hours, it's difficult for people who work during the day to get here. So it doesn't generally accommodate the public that works during the day. So we're planning to advertise over the next week after work sales. So that'll be Saturday morning hours when the dump is open, and Wednesdays when the dump is open. And we'll assign staff down there to sell the permits, affix them to the vehicles like we did last year, and we'll run that for a month. But we'll use this next week to kind of fine tune those details and advertise it. And then finally, Michelle's going to be working with Laurie Smith next week to compile a list of open board, committee, and commission appointments for the town to advertise and recruit over the course of the next few months. There are a number of appointments that remain unfilled or terms that have lapsed that should be addressed. We need to get those committees, boards, and commissions filled. Most notably, the FAA, there's a lot of vacancies on that committee. The Capital Improvement Committee has 1 or 2 vacancies. And most notably at this point is the Personnel Board is now without a quorum. So as the board knows, over the summer is generally a very slow time for boards and committees, but we certainly want to be in a position for the fall to have seated boards in place to avoid any interruptions in local government, such as getting ready for the fall town meeting. So that's the substance of my report, Mr. Chairman, for this week.
Good stuff. Anybody have any questions for the town administrator?
Not so much questions. We've mentioned it many times in the past. We call them minor boards. No board's minor. We have plenty of openings for people. There's a lot going on. You know, we've heard it more often than ever now. People saying they didn't know, fill in the blank. This is people's chance to step up, get involved. A lot of these boards meet once a month. Sometimes they meet less than that if there's not much going on. It's a good chance, especially with a lot of things going on in town right now. There's a lot of hot button issues. So people should really consider, and we appreciate any and all volunteers. And just a quick, Mr. Ruda's talking about the Personnel Board. We do have the Personnel Town Administrator bylaw, which delegated the Town Administrator to be the Director of Personnel, probably the wrong term, but.
No, that's exactly what it
Okay.
is.
But that does not minimize the Personnel Board. I know there was an issue last year, maybe a year and a half ago, where people felt minimized because of the process may have changed because of the bylaw that was passed at town meeting by the voters. So if people are interested in committees and commissions, especially the Personnel Board, don't listen to what people tell you. Don't get your information from Facebook. Don't get it from Twitter. Don't get it from your ill-informed neighbor. Personnel Board is still a very important board in town, as all are. Please, if you have a question, reach out to the appropriate authority, mostly the town administrator probably, or talk to one of your selectmen. Please, people, do not believe everything you read online, because 99% of it's not true.
Mr. Joseph?
Yeah, I want to just simply point out that my first involvement in town government here was on the Police Evaluating Committee. And that's even before Chief Warner became chief. Billy Prout was the chief. And every single member of the department came through that Police Evaluating Committee. And I can't tell you how, I'm not sure of the word, it's not exhilarating, but how gratifying it was to be on that committee, to have the opportunity to grade and recommend people who were hired who are to this day still on the police department. It's a very satisfying way to be involved. And I say that Mr. Chairman, to emphasize, support Mr. Sullivan's comments about the importance of a personnel board. For the police department, that personnel board is the police evaluating committee. So we need to have people involved at an entry level and give them the opportunity to feel a part of the town that can be very satisfying, very gratifying. So I hope people will at least put in applications for those two boards and the other boards where there's openings, because they're not super committees or boards and lesser. They're all the same in the sense that we need people who are willing to get involved to provide guidance to the town government. And it's a great way to do it without having to run through the rigmaroles of an election campaign. You know, so get up off your chair, write your letter of interest, get it into the selectman's office, and learn, teach, participate, and be fulfilled, be satisfied. You need to do that. Nobody's going to do it for you.
Right, Mr. Chair, and should have added, I should have. Be serious if you want to get involved. Don't interject what you think is humor, or interject what you think makes people laugh. If you want to be involved with FAA, for example, give us a solid reason, or the moderator has appointments. If you want to be on personnel, give us a solid reason. Don't make it into like a comedy hour, because it's not. It's very serious.
Agreed. Gary, anything?
No, I'm good. Between Mr. Joseph and Mr. Sullivan, they about said it all.
Thanks, guys. Great points. I had one thing on the permits. Like, how many more do we think we're gonna need to sell, Jonathan, on the dump permits?
How many more do we need to sell?
Or are we,
I don't want to give you the wrong tally.
okay,
I spoke to Rich a little bit today. I didn't ask about
okay.
how many we've
I was
sold
just
so
curious,
far.
like, how we're doing that. Maybe there's another way we could look at, like, just making it easier for people to get one. Maybe we do it online. They could pay it online, and we mail it to them. They could pick it up at the dump, you know,
I
right?
think there'll be, Mr. Chairman, a mechanism for online permitting where we can design something like that. It'll be like a second tier part of
With
rolling
the,
that
can we,
out.
will that, the YouGov stuff like, accommodate that?
That's the OpenGov
Open, yeah, that's it.
suite that we bought,
Yep,
which will be up and running very shortly.
okay. Good.
Will be linked right to the website. You apply for all your permits.
Perfect.
Right online, licensing
Okay,
online.
so it's coming, okay.
It's coming. It's just a matter of having the time to customize each different screen and so forth for that sort of thing. But we'll work to have that up and running next year.
So, Mr. Chair.
Awesome.
To the administrator.
Sure.
If somebody wants a permit tomorrow, do they get it through the clerk's office, treasurer's office? Is that possible to get one in person?
As of tomorrow, well, tomorrow it's still, we've advertised Tuesdays in the treasurer's office. We're gonna use this upcoming week to pivot onto the Wednesdays and Saturdays when the dump is open and get away from that model.
All right, so,
So as long as you bring your trash, you can get a permit.
okay, so no in-person at the town hall in any office? After this week?
I don't wanna roll out the plan, I'm not sure of the
Okay.
details yet, but I wouldn't rule that out completely. I think for the short term, in order to get these things sold, we've sold them to all the seniors, now it's time to move on to people working during the day full-time.
Okay.
Thanks. All right, thank you,
Motion
Jonathan.
to accept the town administrator report?
Motion by Mr. Sullivan,
Second.
second by Mr. Sigenovich. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, Jonathan. All right, number 4, licenses and permits. This is our Upside Food and Drink, Common Vic license, entertainment license, pool table license, video game license, and a jukebox license for 2021. Come on up, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening. How you doing?
Very good, very good.
Please identify yourself for everybody.
My name is Christopher Rivers.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Awesome. Okay, and you want to tell everybody a little bit about what you want to do and
We're still moving forward with the pub. We've run into a few technical difficulties as far as the kitchen goes, a few obstacles to overcome, but we're still on schedule to open in beginning to mid-August.
perfect. Nice. Great. Awesome. So here we have the licenses, Michelle. Do we have everything all paid and crossed? Fantastic. Board members?
No,
Any
Mr.
questions?
Chair, just wish them well. As we say, we try to encourage business, and this place, this gentleman, and moving into a pre-existing space which has been vacant for a while. Be nice to fill that gap down there in that plaza, and as he said last time, he's got some experience.
Yep.
I'm sure he's gonna do well.
Certainly hope so.
Well, is this the last time he's gonna appear before us, before he opens?
We had the public hearing
Yeah, we did the public hearing in the room down low.
But is this the last time he's gonna appear before us,
Yep.
before he opens the business?
I think so.
Unless something
Okay.
goes wrong.
So, do we need to hear again, or hear for the first time what the place will be like, so people will know what's
Sure.
located next to him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where it is, what are you gonna?
Valgo Plaza.
Yeah.
The center unit, aside Leone's Pizza and State Line Convenience. Originally, it was a bar room. We're turning what was a storage area into a kitchen, taking the office and making that storage. It's going to be a pub style, sports bar, sports pub. We're adding several TVs. We will start with a simple menu with plans to expand as we go. And I'm just hoping for some patronage from the townsfolk. You know, it'll be a nice place to come.
Okay.
Awesome, thanks.
Excellent.
Yeah, we're
My
looking
wife
forward-
shook for 2
What's
days
gonna
after.
be your best food item?
Excuse me?
What's gonna be your best food item?
The best food item. Well, we're looking at some specialty soups and salads, but I think the paninis are going to be popular. Shareable platters also.
Okay.
Comfort food. We're not really looking to do entrees and that kind of thing, but
Well, as long as you've got Gouldens mustard
Gouldens?
available, I think you'll be okay.
all right.
And your wife did fine last time, you know, at the
It
hearing.
was a wreck.
Yeah, no need to be, no need to be, we're not that scary.
It's a good board to come
Yeah.
before,
Yeah,
most of the time.
okay,
Unless you get double polls.
double polls, yes.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Sullivan.
grant the request of Upside Food and Drink for common victual license, entertainment license, pool table license, video game license, jukebox license for 2021.
Motion by Mr. Sullivan,
Second?
second by Mr. Joseph. Any other discussion? None, we'll call that to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, sir. We'll get this
you very much.
signed.
Good luck.
Thanks and good luck. We'll see you soon.
August of 21,
We'll
correct?
be there.
Yes, we're hoping for the 11th, but at least by the 18th. Start on a Wednesday.
Any good craft beer taps? I had to ask
We're
Harry.
working on that.
All right.
No.
We might have things to say. Some fans up here.
Am I gonna get those tonight?
Not anymore.
Sure, why not? I'm just gonna have them make copies, okay?
Yeah.
Be right back.
No? Hey, I don't think I can anymore either. I still love it.
I'd say that now.
I know. Exactly. Okay, we're done with that? Okay, we'll finish these up.
The liquor license with the updates on it. Okay.
All right, well, we're finishing the signatures. Just want to let everybody know what's coming up next, and it's the continuation of our public hearing from June 21st. It was A&D, All Automotive Repair and Sales of 5 West Main Street, owners Danny Habib and Ahmed Rafael. And we're gonna, the chair will declare the public meeting hearing reopen at 7:05 PM.
Mr. Chairman, everybody, I believe you all have the letter from the building inspector. We put this hearing over to the next meeting in anticipation of this letter and communication between the building inspector and the fire chief, and I think they've had that communication, so we continued it based on that, and I think they've satisfied the requirement.
Good to hear. Good to hear. So, you must be Danny.
Yes.
Okay, we met Ahmed last time. Okay.
Thanks again, fellas.
All right, thank
luck,
you.
Chris.
Good luck, Chris. We'll see you soon.
Once again, Danny, keep back.
My name is Danny Habib, and I'm new here. It's me and my partner. He couldn't come in today, but you know, like what I'm trying to say, we love the town. To be honest, the people is nice. The first time here, we just got that business repair, and we have you know, the whole gas station. We're just trying to get a license to sell cars because, you know, I heard like they used to sell cars there before I have. So, and we got everything. We give Michelle everything that you guys asked for, and hopefully you could pleasure to be like doing business here in this town too. You know, we've been like almost months and 10 days now. And we're really happy, me and my partner, but we trying to work in the long term and stay here. Even him, he's trying to move here. I have 3 girls at home, like 8 teenagers, so I can't move right now, but hopefully I will be moving out soon. If you guys be like, you know, try your best to give
I
us.
see that Nelson signed off on it.
I do see that too.
That was the only holdup that I recall.
That's correct.
That was correct.
And you know, Mr. Chair, to the applicant, I was remote at that meeting, and I had most of the information, but we didn't have the Nelson letter, so that's the only reason why I wasn't comfortable moving ahead, but now we have everything, and, well, you know, I stopped there for gas today, and the young
Yeah, I
man,
realize.
the young man pumping gas was quite a
I
character.
want to talk quick.
Yeah,
right?
nice kid, nice kid,
He's a nice kid, yeah. You know, we're trying to make everybody's happy.
yeah.
To be honest, like trying to make a living, but at the same time, we want to be friendly with everybody.
I think he
It's
wanted to
a
buy
really
my
nice
car.
town,
You want to buy a
nice
car?
people.
I think he wanted to buy my car, he kept saying how nice it was, it's a
Yeah.
nice car. I'm only the passenger.
You know, we're gonna try our best to be like honest people, you know, like honest, like reasonable prices. You know, try our best to be like good customer service. Makes everybody out of that place, makes him happy when he goes out and then comfortable coming back again. Like always say, come again, please. I'll be here for you. You know? So,
Excellent.
gonna try our best.
Anybody up on the board have any other questions for Danny?
No?
Anybody in the audience have any questions for Danny? Okay, well, with that, the chair will close the public hearing at 7:10 PM. What is the board's pleasure?
Mr. Chair, make a motion that we grant all AD, all automotive repair and sales, 5 West Main Street. What was it, Jonathan, a class 2?
You gotta state the type of license.
Yeah, I'm asking Jonathan right now.
Yeah, it's on,
It's a class 2. Michelle,
Class
Did it
2.
get passed around yet?
what type of license is this? Class 2?
Class 2.
3?
Class 2,
Yeah,
yeah.
grant, as I said, AD, all automotive repair, sales, 5 West Main Street, owned as Danny Habib, Ahmed Rifle, a class 2 license.
Motion by Mr. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Joseph. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
And you go on.
Good luck.
Okay, thank you, Danny. We'll see you soon. Yeah,
thank you, sir.
good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I could leave now, right?
Yeah.
Looks like an hour ago.
No, you need to come back every Monday night. I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
I will
I know.
trust you.
There'll be nobody here next week, so.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give you a
And I,
copy.
thank you.
care.
Thanks, Danny.
All right, good. Another Dudley business. All right, love it.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
Seems like a good guy.
He is. Okay. Just a note that we always like to dot our i's and cross our t's, and that's just what happened for everybody at home. Okay. All right, number 6, new business. FY '21 end of year transfers in the amount of $53,611.63. Mr. Ruda.
Mr. Chairman, if it's okay with you, as in the last several meetings, I'll read the source for the FY '21 year-end transfers from the town accountant and into which account it'll be transferred, and then the board could vote to approve.
Sounds good.
From highway hardtop account, $1,852.44 to election expenses. From recycling expenses, the total of $48,759 to ambulance call, $17,042.51 to firefighter paramedic, $15,864.43 to firefighter paramedic, $15,852.25. From IT expenses, the amount of $1,000. From Vision Cloud expenses, the amount of $1,000. From Board of Health training, the amount of $1,000, for a total of $3,000 into the energy account. For a grand total of $53,611.63.
Thanks, Mr. Ruda. Board members? Any questions? Okay, what is the board's pleasure?
Mr. Chair,
Sullivan.
grant the town administrator's request for fiscal year '21 end of year transfers in the amount of $53,611.63 to and from the accounts you just stated.
Motion by Mr. Sullivan,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Joseph. Any discussion? Hearing none, call it to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay. 6B, we have intermunicipal agreement, Board of Selectmen to vote to authorize the town administrator to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Webster upon affirmative vote of the Board of Health for health agent services and shared Title V inspector, or take any other action relative thereto. Mr. Ruda?
Mr. Chairman, our health agent resigned to the Board of Health about a month ago. We've advertised for it twice. We've gotten little to no interest in it. Whereas Webster appears to be top-heavy in their health department staff. And so over the course of several discussions with the Webster TA, we thought that it might be a good idea for us to go down the road of an IMA between the two towns. They're lacking in a Title V inspector. We have one recently appointed by the Board of Health, which would be entirely fee-based, meaning that the inspector would work similar to the way we do it here with our plumbing, electric inspectors, where they get a percentage of the fee paid directly to the inspector from each town. So that would be one part of the IMA. The second part would be a percentage not to exceed what we've currently budgeted for FY '22 to enter into a 3-year agreement under an IMA and have a shared health agent. And that would give the town of Dudley a de facto 5 days of coverage with a health agent during the week that could be contacted when needed at any point. And it would give Webster some relief where they have less inspections and less need for the staff that they currently employ. It would offset the cost of the salary. So I'm asking for the board's permission to negotiate within our current FY '22 budget IMA with Webster to be approved by the Board of Health to have a shared health agent.
Stephen?
So how would that affect paperwork generated for applications? We have a staff member in that office, right?
We have a staff member in that office. There would be we would maintain our health, what's code enforcement and inspections. Now it's a shared staff member, so it's all the code enforcement and inspections and Board of Health issues come out of that office. That support staff would remain just like they did in the past with our part-time health agent, would serve in the same capacity and would, serve Dudley cases. And when the health agent was working for Dudley, it would be very similar to the way we've had it set up in the past. And vice versa, when the health agent was working in Webster, it would be the same as we've had it set up in the past. I would propose that we pay a portion of the salary. They're already paying the full salary. They're covering the benefits and so forth. So it's a good deal for Dudley, I think.
So, Mr. Chair, would there be any coverage in the office of the health agent? Would he be here like a couple hours during the week or something we work out after?
Part of that would be, the health agent would obviously attend Board of Health meetings, would have office hours, and would be available between the two towns 5 days a week,
Okay.
as opposed to shared among many towns.
Right.
And we'd have to chase that person down.
Yeah, I just want to make sure if somebody comes up to the counter, they can get an answer. Maybe not that day, but he'll be here.
We'd probably be able to get an answer that day. That's how much the service, I think, would improve.
Mr. Joseph?
Yeah, we're gonna get two bites of this apple. The first is right now, which is authorizing Jonathan to negotiate an agreement with Webster. When that's done, he will then present that agreement to us, which we will need to approve. So,
Very true.
this is perfunctory as far as I'm concerned. And I know he will continue to do the best he can with whatever we have for strengths. And he knows what our weaknesses are. So I'm real comfortable with this vote, and I look forward to what the final agreement will look like.
It will likely, Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Joseph, be something that the Board of Health has to make the appointment. But the authority to enter into an IMA would come from this board. So it's two-tiered. It's a Board of Health appointment, but the authority from an IMA comes from the Board of Selectmen.
So the next time we see this, Mr. Chairman, we will see a recommendation from the Board of Health regarding hiring?
I would think so.
Okay. We're doing things in the right order.
We are. What would the board like to do?
Mr.
Mr.
Marston,
Siganovich,
may I ask a question?
you can.
Mr. Ruda, what would be the difference between the way things were when we had a health agent and having this agreement now? Will people notice a difference, is what I'm saying? Are we going to have the same services, the same coverage, the same everything?
What we had before was a health agent we paid $22,500 for, and we piled about 30 or 40 hours a week of work on that health agent that was supposed to be part-time.
And we shared that
And-
person with someone else, with another.
Yeah, the 2 health agents ago, we shared that person with 2 other
Okay.
towns for that same cost. And the service, I think, reflected that. And it's not a dig, it's just the reality, there's only so many hours in a day. I think now we'd be in a better position because we would have a full-time, Webster currently has a full-time health agent and would be sharing only with us at this point. And it would be, and part of the negotiation would be, we'd call Monday through Friday and get some sort of response out of the health agent as long as it wasn't a vacation day or sick day or something like that. So the level of service would be Monday through Friday instead of, trying to track the person down and be reactive rather than proactive in some of these inspections and sign-offs and helping things progress that need the health department sign-off.
So basically what I'm getting at, this is a better service at a better price, doing it this way,
It's a better service at the same price,
at the same price. Okay,
or relatively the same price. It could be within $5,000 of the current.
that's all I want to know. Thank you.
I'm good.
Okay. What's the board's pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Joseph.
I'd like to move that we authorize the town administrator to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Webster regarding the
Health
Board of
agent.
Health Services. I'm just trying to figure out how to phrase this because, you know, this will be back before us again. But for health services, pending the recommendation of the Board of Health for the hiring of a health service agent and a Title V inspector.
Motion by Mr. Joseph,
Second.
second by Mr. Sigenovich. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. All right, Jonathan, thanks for that. All right, item 7, old business, town administrator, performance review, Mr. Ruda.
Mr. Chairman, I think we need to have a full board present for my
I agree, I just realized,
performance review.
I realize that's probably a good thing.
Generally, that falls to the chair to
Yep,
organize.
yeah, I'm gonna do that. If Michelle, if we could send out everything to everybody again, is Jonathan's goals, maybe in a blank copy so everybody can mark that up, and then we'll, when we come in the next time, we'll do what we always do. We'll make the grid, and we can all go through it. Okay? So we'll have that ready for next time.
The second part of that, Mr. Chairman, is we may be able to schedule killing two birds with one stone, because we could not only assign a rating for the past fiscal year, but we could assign goals and objectives for this current fiscal year. Which means that the next heavy lift would be this, if any goal and objective needed to be modified, we could either talk about it then or at the following meeting.
Okay? How will we rate you, and then after we do that, we'll do the preliminary goals, and then we can refine them there, at least the buckets.
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds like a plan to me. We definitely need Mr. Johnson here for that. I should have asked him. Mr. Johnson's not here today. I should have asked if he wanted to join. Okay, so we'll table that until next time. Michelle will send the stuff out, and we will move forward with that. We owe Jonathan that. It's been a while. We're overdue it, guys. All right, item 8, board member comments. Mr. Joseph, anything?
Well, I've been waiting for this.
Oh, you did? Okay. Well,
I know that I speak for the whole board, extending our sympathy to our building inspector, Nelson Burlingame, who lost his wife, whom we loved very dearly, at the age of 62 of cancer. Yeah, I've been a selectman for 18 years. I've been in town government here for just over 33 years. And there is no one that I have seen or worked with in town government who takes his job more seriously than Nelson Burlingame. And it wasn't long before he was back at work doing what he's supposed to do. Along those lines, I do have a concern about a disgruntled citizen who claims that Nelson has not been doing his job according to Hoyle. I've never known Nelson to treat anyone differently under the law. Yet this person, who recently, by the way, ran for office here in town, but did not win. And that's good, because when you come into a public office, such as selectman, you can't come in with an axe to grind. Every decision you make has to be impartial and either based on law or based on what you believe is morally correct. Yet we have this disgruntled citizen in town who has been harassing Nelson about issuing a permit for a pool and a deck. And Nelson has declined it a few times, and yet this disgruntled citizen continues to thrust and parry, to use fencing terms, with Nelson. And I bring this up not just because Nelson has passed away, Nelson's wife passed away, but because through that, and he was deeply hurt and is deeply saddened by that, and works real hard right now to recover from that. But to harass any town employee for doing their job is just not acceptable. I'm glad elections most often elect the right people and the best people, and not people who have an axe to grind. So I want to caution anyone who harasses a town employee in the course of doing his or her job. I want to caution them not to do that. You do no favors for anyone when you engage in that kind of behavior. And you certainly don't indicate that if you were to run for an office again, that you would do so without an axe to grind. And that is not the way you enter town government. So I hope that stops and that the individual complies with the rules and the laws and the bylaws that Nelson is hired to enforce, and does enforce correctly without exception. And that bothers me. And it should bother all of us, really, as right now, fathers of the town. And it should not be acceptable. And I hope it'll cease, and that this is a caution to others to play by the rules. Don't harass someone who's trying to faithfully do their job. And we'll leave it at that. But our sympathies all go to Nelson. I know it's from all of us and everyone else in the town hall. He's just a good, decent man. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Mr. Siganovich.
You're right, Mr. Joseph. Mr. Burlingame he's just a solid individual. Great guy. Terrible loss. Heart goes out to him. And I want to expound on something that you said. Initially, I was going to say nothing. I was fine, just because not much went on. But this one individual this one disgruntled individual has taken up so much time and cost to the town. At some point, we need to do something. I don't know what, and I want to be careful with my words because I don't want to cause a lawsuit for the town, and I know that's why a lot of us are careful with what we say. But just the cost in hours and ever legal fees and what have you because of this one individual. It's coming to a head. It's got to stop at some point. I don't know what the answer is, but it needs to stop. It needs to stop.
Here.
That's all I've got. Thank you, Mr. Marcy.
Thank you, Mr. Sigenovich. Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know we usually address those kinds of things before the meeting, but I know certain members of the board wanted to address it at the end. Again, I agree, echo our sympathies to Nelson and his family. Everything Paul and Kerry said is true. All my dealings with Nelson, residents that deal with Nelson that reach back to us. He's a gentleman. He takes time to explain it. He goes the extra mile. We have a part-time building inspector. People sometimes, I think, forget that. And like the previous inspectors, they put in more than part-time work. I've said it publicly before, and I'll say it publicly again. Until I'm given reason otherwise, I back all our town employees. Talking about the building department at this time, I back the building department for their fairness, for their issuing the permits, for treating everybody the same. I think Nelson is an asset to this town, irreplaceable. To train up a new building inspector would be a tough task for the town administrator and other staff to interact with them. But again, it's all because we started this off, and I echo it also. Sympathies to Nelson and his family. Tragic loss, life taken too young, and it's just mind-numbing. Just think about the age that Mr. Joseph said the number. How many of us are there, close to there, have gone by there? It's a tough number.
That's in my rearview mirror.
Yeah, it's coming up fast for me. And I just want to state, I know it was the one town over, but I think we miss. Town of Oxford suffered a pretty big loss themselves with Mr. Sad passing away, John Sad. Worcester Telegram called him Mr. Oxford. It's no secret I grew up in Oxford. Sad name is a big name in all of Worcester and Worcester County. But John Sad was truly a giant. You could pick up the phone, whether you're calling from Dudley, Oxford, Webster, and he would help. So I know speak for the board, our sympathies to John's family and the town of Oxford for a tough passing.
Well said.
Very well said, Steve. And I'll echo everything these guys said about Nelson. Anytime I've had a resident call to, get clarity on something, Nelson always takes the time to explain it to me, so I know, because there's always two sides to everything, and he does do the next right thing. I know we say that a lot, but Nelson does
Good way of saying
the
it.
next right thing. So, and he and his wife were together since they were 18. I don't know if everybody knew that. So, he loved his wife, his family. I did get to see him, and I know my nothing but my condolences for him. But he is very dedicated to his job, and he's been back because he knows he has the public to serve as well. So, thank you, Nelson. All right, departments. Jeff, do you have anything?
So I just wanted to say, over the last couple of weeks, we've had a lot of storm events, as you well know. Crews have been out on a routine basis overnight, cleaning up trees. We've had some trees that have involved wires, so the National Grid has been involved with that. And just wanted to let residents know, continue to make calls if they have any areas of need. Feel free to call anytime. Over the last week or so with the tropical storm that we had, crews have been out opening waterways and making sure that everything's flowing freely and that they're clear. And even to our best efforts, there has been flooding, and I'm sure there's been some property damage with some homeowners. But again, I just wanted to communicate that we've spent our best efforts to try and avoid any any of those incidents by being prepared and taking care of those things in advance of any of the storms that we've had. And we'll continue to do that as we go through monsoon season, it seems like here. So that's about it.
Thank you, Jeff. Dean?
I just have one quick thing, and I talked to one of you prior to the meeting starting. A couple months ago, I applied for a grant through the Office of Public Safety. Senator Ryan Fatman stopped by and visited us at the fire station last week to inform us we did receive the grant in the amount of $20,000. This is a first-time grant. I don't remember seeing it before. I don't know if they're going to have it again, but I guess it was a very competitive grant. There was over 200 applications and only 20 awards given, according to Senator Fatman, and we got one of them, and we got one of the highest amounts in the amount of $20,000 for 8 sets of fire gear. So we should be hearing about that next week or the week after.
Fantastic.
Chief, what does that put you on?
I don't know. I have to do my monthly report still, but I'm going to put the grant sheet in there this time because we received another grant. I also have 2 others that I'm waiting to hear about. One in the amount for $68,000 and one in the amount of $499,000. But those are still in the process. I know one of them, the $499 one, made it to final panel review. I know that, but I haven't heard anything else.
What's that one for? Curious.
Two people
Okay.
for
that's-
3 years, 100% covered.
What I was gonna ask was, the 20,000 replacing the gear, how does that put you? I know you've been working.
Well, pretty good right now, but these 8 sets, because I've gotten some new call members, and call members, it's hard to outfit them because you can't get the gear ahead of time. They're on call, so even though they get paid when they come on calls, they're kind of volunteers, so you're not going to buy the gear ahead of time, obviously. But a lot of our gear, another bunch of our gear is getting to that age where it's hitting that 10-year mark. Also, some of the older gear has the PFAS in it. I know that's something you don't want to hear, but that's been in the news too. So we're trying to get rid of that gear because we don't want that around. So the more we can replace, I'd say we're about 80 to 90% compliant. So we're almost there.
Right, thank you.
Fantastic, Dean, as always. Appreciate it. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of quick things. I sent you all my report from June. I think the reopening, people must have really been stretching their legs because all of our calls and everything else went up over the last month. But a couple of things that were highlighted, and I think I'd mentioned to you at one point, we had located some individuals, some juveniles that were breaking into vehicles. So I just can't stress enough to folks to make sure you lock your cars, even in your driveway. It's very important to do that because most of the time they're going around looking for unlocked vehicles and going through and taking things. So if you plan to leave your car unlocked for whatever reason, make sure you leave nothing in it. That would help. But I think if you lock your vehicles, especially in your yard, that would help to deter a lot of that activity. And also, too, just for folks to be aware of scams. We had an unfortunate a senior taking advantage of several $1,000s where she was scammed out of basically from somebody over the phone. So don't do any business over the phone with folks. Always make sure you talk with a family member or call the police, call the bank, call whatever it is that you can in any of those circumstances if you're getting those phone calls. Because most of the time if people are giving you a call, it's not for a legitimate purpose as far as you sending them money at that time. Most companies that do business legitimately either do things through the mail or they will contact you in some other way. So just something for folks to be aware of. And that's about it for me.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief.
Appreciate it. George? Oh, Paul.
Observation, preceded by a quick question to each member of the board.
Okay.
When was the last time that you received a complaint about the highway, the fire, or the police department? Oh,
Actually, a couple of compliments.
Don't jinx it, for God's sake.
more than a couple. But the reason I ask that is that
And
for the
water and sewer,
people,
George.
but for us, to be aware of how fortunate we are, at least regarding our three major departments, those three major departments, in terms of complaints and the good job that people are doing. We need to acknowledge that. So I say thank you to all of you. Can I add you into that group, Judge?
That'd be nice. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
My mailbox is still up.
Go ahead, George.
Good evening, everybody. Just some uplifting things. Blending process continues to go pretty strongly. Thank you. I know everybody hates the rain, but it helps us. But blending has been good, so we keep ourselves below the state right at the state level and below it. So that's good news. Mason Road project is into its second phase now. We've done the Mason Road extension side. Now we move down below. We're starting at the Mason Road School. We're going to work up to Sawmill Road and then up to June Street. And then they'll do the tie-in down by the fire station, which will be the more delicate aspect of it there. On some down notes a little bit, we've had 3 main breaks in the last month. One of them was in an afternoon on Friday afternoon. 2 of them occurred in one afternoon. We got done around 1 o'clock in the morning. Another one was a service break on Ridge Drive. Most of them have been done as fast as we can get them done. It was pretty good timing, but still some people were inconvenienced and out of water for a little bit while we did those repairs. All of that is that same type of pipe that we're replacing on Mason Road, and all those breaks, the big breaks, were up Mason Road. So just to let you know, we're trying to get that situation remedied.
George, how old were those pipes that broke?
The pipes up the Mason Road are those transites, and they're probably in the 70 range, 60, 70. People decided to put those in, figuring they cut some corners as cost-wise. But that type of pipe is, if it becomes into water, if water embeds around it, it becomes very brittle. If the pipe stays dry, it stays pretty rigid. But that whole area is swampy in areas, so it affects it badly.
It dissolves.
Mr. Chairman, it's a great water pipe unless it gets wet.
Exactly the point. He's exactly right. So as far as the storm goes, as you know, we did have some issues in West Main. That's kind of the standard. We're doing some work with DEP on kind of figuring out. Well, we know why that happens. It's just the configuration of pipe going out to Webster changes its sizes continuously. It doesn't maintain a large size, so the backup is pretty heavy. You get 5-6 inches of rain. That's a lot. And we got infiltration still being addressed in the next week or so. And once that infiltration gets addressed in the next couple months, I hope to see some alleviation of that problem. And we will also do some exploratory through the DEP to see if we can do something about that problem further down the pipeline, so to speak, because that's kind of where the issue is. There's a lot of backing up going on there. So, but it was pretty well mediated by Saturday morning. We had everything back flowing pretty good again. So, it wasn't a catastrophe so much.
George, somebody asked me, when you're replacing like the line on Mason Road, are the lines going off like Delaney, Catherine, those newer than what's there? Because are they also the older?
The Mason Road was the main, what they call the trunk line at the time, and that's the old, a little older. They're all the same type of pipe, but that was done first, and then the laterals were taken off after that. That whole area is a problem because of the way they decided to use that type of material to save some money for that whole general vicinity. So the contractors themselves even took that when they did some of those side streets too and used the same material. So as we finish Mason Road, we're going to start looking at the laterals down the line, or a couple other areas in town that have the same similar pipe that are giving us a lot of problems, such as Sunnyside Ave. That's good for 3 or 4 main breaks a year. Pretty soon we might as well just forget about it because we'll probably be connecting all the pipe together by the time we're done with it. And there's some other areas by Fairview Ave, Brandon Road, Ellis up in there, Prospect up in there, and with this possibility of this new water main going from Station 1 to Station 6, I've decided to take all those streets and use those to run the main down to the station and alleviate that problem. So that means I'll be removing about 5 streets of AC pipe and putting in the new stuff for the station. So lots of things happening, just takes a little time to do it, that's all.
The second half of the question was, by replacing the Mason Road pipe,
Mm-hmm.
it's not gonna stress, I mean, you can't predict, but is it gonna stress, probably the wrong word.
The only issue may be is with the added volume with that pipe, we may get a little bit of a pressure gradient difference going in there. We can't tell right now. That's the low zone. In the high zone, they meet at that Sawmill Road intersection with a pressure reducer valve, which we plan on changing too. So that's going to be very delicate there as we add water to the new main, the old main, and I think that other possible breaks may have been some of the work that was done on Mason Road extension might have contributed to that. We can't tell. It's the whole system is very weak with that type of pipe, so we're just going to have to be as careful as we can as we energize different lines and change over and stuff.
All right, that was the question somebody wanted.
Thank you, George. Rich?
Good evening. I'll keep it short. The old real estate bills are done. Those who didn't pay, you're gonna be getting those nasty little pink notes. The new ones are due August 1st. Remember, there's 2 bills in each envelope. We're into a new cycle as far as health insurance goes. I've had a couple of telephone calls where somebody threw away their health cards. I have the ability to order new ones, but you should read stuff that comes in for the Hampshire Council of Governments Insurance Trust. As far as the town administrator's report and this recycling center breakout, the model that was to be used for the previous fiscal year was costed out maybe in May. So to get to that question, how many do we need to sell to break even? We had a plan, we modified the plan and used different numbers. So for the next meeting, we'll have a shorter version of this is where we need to clear the bar.
Okay.
I'll leave on a simpler note. Right now, there's a Dudley Charlton Regional School District School Committee meeting. It's important that everybody pay attention to what's going on. Don't want to editorialize, other than I have faith in what's going on up there. So thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Rich.
Anybody else? All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Joseph.
I move we adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Joseph.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Siganovich. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.